Hello, welcome to my meat department, where me and my associates spend many hours a week processing all the food that our local area needs. Today, I'm going to talk to you about all the different cuts of meat. There's 4 primary cuts. You got your chuck, you got your rib, you got your loin, and you got your round. So, we're going to start with the round. Now the round is going to be your hind legs of the cow. It's going to be the most heavily used muscle on the animal, which also makes the meat very tough. So, we're going to start with the top round. Now your top round, or also called London broil, or the inside round, is going to be on the inside thigh of the cow, facing towards the head. Now on the back side of the top round is going to be where your bottom round is, or the outside round, or rump roast. If you ever wonder why it's called a rump roast, because if they call it a cow butt, nobody would buy it. So, on the inside, you got your 2 rows. In between the top round and the bottom round, you got your eye round. It's called an eye round because it sits in the center, kind of like the center of the storm, the eye of the storm. So moving on, you got your 3 rounds on the thigh. Sitting above those, you're going to have what's called a sirloin tip, or a knuckle. It's going to sit right on the rear of the animal. That concludes the round portion, the most toughest piece of meat on the cow. Moving on to the next section, it's totally opposite from the round. It's going to be the most tender area of the cow, is the loin area. Now the loin area is going to have what's called a short loin, or a whole T-bone. It's going to have your backbone of the cow coming down, making a point into a T. That's why it's called a T-bone. The top piece of the T-bone, the big end, is your New York strip steak. And the bottom, the little bitty medallion part of it, is going to be your filet mignon. It's the most tender piece of meat on the entire animal because that part of the animal doesn't get worked out very much. Those 2 are the main pieces on your short loin end. Your third section is going to be your rib area. In your rib area, of course, you're going to have your rib eye. It's the name, it's by the rib. Rib eye is the most marbled, best tasting meat, I think, in the whole animal. So, under your backbone, you're going to have what's called a beef back rib. Connected to that is going to be your beef ribeye. Underneath your beef ribeye, you're going to have a bone that comes all the way down on the short plate. It's going to hold the short rib, or Korean rib, depends where you're from. Those 3 are the most common pieces on the beef rib. And moving on to the final primer of the animal is going to be your chuck area. Your chuck area is going to be your front shoulder of the cow. It's also a very heavily used area, so it's going to be a little bit tougher than the short loin area or the rib area. Now in your chuck area, you're going to have what's called a chuck roll. This is where you're going to get your chuck roast, your chuck steaks, your petite fillets, 7-bone steaks, anything like that is going to come from that area. Makes a good pot roast. On the bottom of your front shoulder, towards the legs, is where your brisket is, on the bottom curve of the cow. Well, that concludes the 4 main primers of the cow. You would probably guess the one thing I missed out, the most commonly sold item in beef, hamburger meat. Well, the hamburger meat, you do have your section items, your ground chuck, you got your ground sirloin, but most of the time you're going to see just ground beef. Now ground beef is 100% beef. That means eyeballs, livers, hearts, all that's 100% beef. So next time you're in a local grocery store and you're looking at hamburger meat, keep that in mind. Well, that's pretty much all I have for the main pieces of the meat. I hope you learned something and I enjoyed it. Thank you.